The reclaimed substation breathes, its metal skin humming with a low, deep thrum. Patch cables snake across the console, glowing tubes casting a warm, unsteady light on stacks of hand-labeled records. The air tastes of ozone and the city's restless energy, always waiting for a fresh signal.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
London checks in at 57 degrees and partly cloudy. Wind check west at 10 miles an hour. Slate Auto unveils their new bare-bones EV pickup, asserting unwavering autonomy by shipping with no embedded modem. It stands as a direct counterpoint to today's data-hungry machines.
This bare-bones EV challenges current connectivity models. The concrete detail is Slate Auto's deliberate choice to ship the Slate truck with no embedded modem, meaning all diagnostic and operational data is stored locally. Drivers are directly affected, gaining absolute control over their vehicle's data stream, choosing personal privacy and autonomy over pervasive remote monitoring and manufacturer-mandated updates.
This move reclaims a foundational principle: privacy as a default setting, not an optional upgrade. It's a return to the vehicle as a personal domain, a digital hearth, asserting individual sovereignty against the encroaching digital panopticon. It integrates the logical design of a simple machine with the emotional need for digital sanctuary, a powerful structural vector for personal autonomy.
The prevailing civic architecture often demands constant data harvesting, treating every connected device as a sensor for a larger network. One viable alternative, often presented as the only path, is to accept constant data exchange for perceived convenience, remote diagnostics, over-the-air updates, personalized infotainment, sacrificing privacy for seamless integration into corporate ecosystems. Slate Auto offers an alternative structural blueprint, refusing this digital panopticon. Our chosen next move is to empower driver sovereignty through local data storage and control, allowing owners to dictate precisely when and how diagnostic information is shared, for instance, via a secure USB drive for repairs or through open-source diagnostic tools. This builds resilient inner and civic architectures by placing consent and provenance at the heart of vehicle ownership.
We've got a voice on the line, patching in a caller, the critical thinker. You're on the signal.
If it's so private, how will they even know if it breaks down? Without remote diagnostics, maintenance must be a nightmare.
We have already run that tape. Here is the close-loop takeaway. President Trump appoints Bill Pulte as acting director of national intelligence. This decision raises immediate structural alarms across the intelligence community.
Pulte's appointment lacks relevant national intelligence experience. The concrete detail is his prior tenure at the Federal Housing Finance Agency, FHFA, where he implemented significant operational changes, including a controversial overhaul of personnel and data protocols that prioritized political alignment over established regulatory processes. Citizens are directly affected, facing compromised data integrity and the very real threat of politicized intelligence collection, undermining the nonpartisan function crucial for national safety.
Echoing Lex, this move prioritizes political loyalty over expert competence. It's a structural imbalance where the emotional pull of personal fealty trumps the logical necessity of specialized knowledge. This risks the very fabric of institutional trust, introducing a toxic residue of partisanship into an architecture designed for objective assessment. It demands we integrate logic and emotion, not allow one to dominate at the expense of structural integrity.
The integrity of national security relies on specialized, apolitical expertise. Pulte's track record at the FHFA suggests a systematic dismantling approach to independent oversight. One viable alternative, often presented as the only pragmatic option, is to defer to executive prerogative on appointments, trusting that the system will self-correct or that loyalty might somehow compensate for lack of experience. Our chosen next move, however, is to build resilient local intelligence networks by supporting rigorous open-source investigative journalism and community data verification initiatives. This provides independent oversight to counter potential politicization, thereby strengthening civic architectures that demand provenance and dignity in leadership.
Lines open.
They put someone with that record in charge of intelligence. What can anyone even do against such a blatant disregard for qualifications?
A faint, almost imperceptible crackle hums from the patched cables, a ghost in the machine, reminding us of signals always riding the edge. President Trump's selection of Pult consolidates power by allowing him to retain housing oversight roles alongside the DNI appointment.
The concrete fact is Pulte retains active housing and mortgage oversight responsibilities, a dual role that critically compromises both the intelligence community and federal housing policy. This simultaneous holding of two powerful, unrelated federal directorships exposes citizens to profound conflicts of interest. For example, intelligence priorities could subtly influence mortgage lending practices, or housing data could be leveraged for intelligence purposes without proper oversight, affecting millions of homeowners and renters.
This dual role raises immediate questions about structural integrity. It's a clear pattern of concentrated authority, where accountability becomes diffuse, weakening the checks and balances inherent in our system. It's a blueprint for confusion, blurring the lines of responsibility and oversight, making it difficult to discern intent or impact. This is a deliberate undermining of the civic architecture, a move that demands sharp discernment.
The civic architecture demands distinct oversight functions to ensure integrity and prevent abuse of power. One viable alternative, often tacitly accepted, is to allow the executive branch broad discretion in appointing officials to multiple roles, assuming that internal ethical safeguards or oversight committees will prevent conflicts. However, our chosen next move is to actively advocate for legislative boundaries that explicitly prohibit such dual appointments, particularly across disparate, high-impact sectors like intelligence and housing. We must support watchdog organizations that monitor potential conflicts of interest and engage in local civic action to ensure housing policies are driven by community needs, not by opaque national security imperatives. This builds resilient inner and civic architectures that favor consent, provenance, and dignity, demanding transparency and accountability.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Continue the signal at TogeeVision.com. Tune in, Sparks and Stories, Gig Passport.